Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Green White Checker TV's coverage of the Area 51 Super Speedway NextGen series here on Sunday nights. My name is Boomer Logan, and we will be taking you through the action this evening as we get into the first race of the playoffs here at Area 51. A lot of excitement last week as we set our field for those playoffs. Not going to bother bringing up that points graphic this week just because it's all reset. Everyone in the playoffs is at 2,000 points. That's Brandon Briggs, Jim Brooks, Gabe Butler, Ryan Decker, Kevin Freese, Eric Laurie, Todd Merkel, Edwin Outlaw, Rick Sanchez, Bud Steele, Brian Wing, and Zachary Workman. All of those drivers are going to be competing over the next 4 races to win the championship here at Area 51, covered by Green White Checker TV. Definitely going to be a lot of excitement tonight as we've got 75 laps per usual on the docket here at Daytona International Speedway. And sun is setting. We're going to have a beautiful night race tonight. Plenty of action under the lights. Definitely a lot of fun. A little bit of a colder day, 65 degrees, but the wind is pretty calm at 2 miles an hour tonight. Should be an absolute blast. Drivers are currently setting their lap times for tonight to see where they will line up in the grid, and we will be seeing who is going to take home that first checkered flag of the playoffs. Definitely going to be an interesting race for sure. Obviously, it'll be our third time and final time here at Daytona on the season, so we've had 2 races under our belts. Obviously, we've raced here quite a bit in this series in the past, so definitely a lot of notes, a big notebook for what has worked here and what hasn't worked in the past, so definitely be looking to see how that strategy plays out, but it's definitely going to be fun. We'll be back next week. We'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway, followed by Talladega, and then iRacing Super Speedway to potentially crown our champion. We've got 4 races. It's not a lot of time to accumulate points in the playoffs for those 12 drivers we previously mentioned that are in the playoffs, so going to have to be just about perfect every single race here. I don't know if you're going to have to win over these next 4 races, but you're going to have to make sure that you can either recover from early incidents or just have a solid, clean race all night long. So we'll be seeing where these guys are going to shake up. Got a couple more minutes. Looks like just under 2 minutes of qualifying here left to go. So we'll be getting ready here in just a moment. So far, looks like we've got about 20 drivers who will take to the field for the activities this evening. And it should be an absolute blast here at Daytona under the lights like we mentioned. Looks like about 15 drivers so far taking a time for qualifying. Couple drivers that are electing to not take a qualifying time, but we'll have that grid for you here in just a second. Hope everyone's had a good week, and yeah, it's been fun. I was off last week, but I'm really glad to be back and bring you guys this excitement and action. Appreciate all of you joining the broadcast to watch the race or rewatch the race and see the action on track. Should be a lot of fun here. Like I said, a lot of excitement as we get into these playoffs. Definitely a lot of nerves there as, some drivers, this might be, they may be in this position for the first time or maybe fairly new to it. And, there's almost a little bit of an added pressure to making sure that you're performing at a higher level for these next 4 races. Like I mentioned, there's really not going to be a lot of room for error. You almost have to be perfect throughout the next couple weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how these drivers react and how they will do. Looks like we've got a couple drivers taking to the grid, though. Qualifying has finished up, so let's pull up that grid information, see where they're going to stack up to start the field tonight. Gabe Butler grabbing the first pole of the playoffs in that number 88 machine for Team Bootnaka Esports. James Mullen just to his outside, 0.06 of a second slower for Team Extreme Racing and that number 7 machine, but outside pole for him. A couple teammates of Gabe Butler's, Eric Laurie and Rick Sanchez in third and fourth on that second row. Third row, we've got Joshua Hanner and Bud Steele. Zachary Workman and Jim Brooks on row number 4 in the 18 and 51 machines. We got Austin Call and Todd Merkel, who will be rounding out our top 10 to start this evening. Derek Buffo from Michigan and Brandon Briggs from Indiana on that 6th row. Second page of the grid here, we've got Jimmy Pyland and Edwin Outlaw in row number 7, with Dude Conrad in the number 8 machine and Brian Wang in the 07 machine on row number 8. Ryan Decker will be starting from the 17th position with Gael Brooks to his outside. And I will not be racing tonight, but accidentally joined the wrong way, so I do show myself as gridded in the 19th position, so apologies for that error. But Larry Fairman will actually be promoted to that 19th starting position, and Chris Piscini will actually start 20th, will be our last starting car for the race tonight. So whenever a driver doesn't take to the grid, that cars behind them in that row will just move up, so Larry Fairman will take over my spot after accidentally gridding the wrong way. But I've got a buddy up here with me tonight who's going to help me call the action.
Take your spot.
Yeah, we got Matt Wagner with us here tonight.
Long time no see.
Yeah, man, how you doing?
Oh, other than getting crashed, I've been here. I've been making myself presence known in the truck series here in Area 51, but it's there's a lot of changes that went down in these cars, so I'm interested to see how these cars fare handle now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, because there was a big update from iRacing last week that came out. So how much has that affected? Have you had a chance to drive these cars yet? How much has it affected them?
I have not, but I've talked to a few people, and it's not the same as it was. So
okay,
I'm kind of interested to see. Remember when we talked about that last car line? I want to see how that. See if they probably increased the. I guess you would say the wake of the car, the last car for him to catch the draft. I think that's what they've done, but I'm interested to see what happens here. I'll be keeping an eye out. I'll be watching.
Okay. We will be watching all night long, all race long. It'll definitely be exciting to see how that changes, but we've got a beautiful field of 20 cars that are going to be taken to the grid tonight. And should be an absolute blast to see these guys do battle for 75 laps. Again, Gabe Butler is going to be on that front row with the 7 of James Mullen starting on that outside lane. And yeah, we're going to have quite a bit of fun here tonight. Any predictions, early predictions, Matt, for these playoffs here as in the first of 4 races tonight?
Anything can happen. I'm not going to throw out any predictions.
All right. I tried to throw you on the hook, but I don't blame you. Well, we do see the pace car pulling off. It is in the hands of Gabe Butler as he rolls through the Geico restart zone, and we are underway for the first race of the playoffs here at Area 51. Right away, the 071 jumping out of line. A little bit of chaos, but it looks like some of the Team Bootnaka drivers are trying to line up on that inside line there. 88 machine still leading that lane, 7 machine leading the outside lane. A little bit of Dyson so far, but we'll see how it shakes out. We've got 75 laps, which is a long way to go around this 2.5 mile speedway tonight.
Whoa, I got my volume way too loud on my end. I'm looking at the last cars in line. Looks like they're able pretty much to keep up. What's the last car on line? I think it's the
looks like Chris Piscini, yeah.
Piscini there. Yeah, I've been watching him race the last couple of times I've been in here with him. He is probably the most underrated driver here.
Ooh, looks like we got a car already going. We got a car around spinning already. Yellow flag is out.
I think we had a little bit of temporary car kind of disappeared.
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like Edwin Outlaw is the one who has wrecked, but it might have been an internet connection issue. Let's see if we could pull up a quick replay of that, see if there's anything that we can see. And I'm not showing anything that we're going to be able to watch, unfortunately. I think... Looks like... Here, let's see if we can pull this up. Maybe, maybe not. Nope, looks like he might have blinked out of the sim for a moment and reappeared, but I can't actually see where that happened.
I saw it. I think it's in coming out of turn 2.
See if we can catch some of that action here. Live behind Gael Brooks. You see the smoke there on the replay. And there's the 12 car reappearing right in the middle. Looks like he might have maybe made contact with the 8 there. Not entirely sure, but at that point he's already turned around. So an interesting hiccup, probably just a connection issue. Unfortunately, maybe at least we can only assume for the 12 machine.
Yeah, I probably had to say it's probably like more of a hardware issue and more than maybe internet
Yeah, it could be.
connection. Yeah, because I remember my computer having a really rough time trying to keep up, and I would
Yeah.
have the greatest internet connection, and
Well,
then my internet, and then the guys would be like, "You're going in and out." I'm like, that's impossible. But it's not always the internet. It's usually just a hardware failure.
yeah. Interesting enough, we actually see almost the entire field coming down here for, I would assume, 4 tires and fuel, if not maybe just a top off on fuel there for the 88 machine.
I would.
Yeah, looks like just about everyone's just taking fuel. Joshua Hanner is taking tires, Brian Wang, and Chris Bassini as well. Interesting. So yeah, definitely some fuel strategy there for some of these drivers. Not too much of a shakeup as far as the rankings go. Jim Brooks is going to jump up a couple spots there. He's going to come out second. James Mullen now third. Brandon Briggs did stay out, though. So that's going to promote him to the lead. He's the only one who stayed out on that caution. So put him ahead of the field. I mean, do you see any reason to not have taken fuel there, other than maybe for track position?
Well, if you're the only car staying out, it's really, really going to hurt you because you're probably going to pit before everybody else. But it all depends if you're going to hold the lead. If you're going to hold the lead, you might get some cars that might go with you, but I don't know. He's going to have, for him, I say try to keep your car up front, try to save as much fuel as possible, and then
Yeah,
hopefully that track position will help out. But
we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. I want to see how this draft model works out. I really haven't got a chance. Um, so I was told in these practices that the 1 and 2 car, our little Dodge, our little Dodge friends down there, they had the fastest lap in practice. It was just the two of them running together.
That's interesting to hear. We'll definitely have to see if they can figure out how to get hooked up. I know we've seen that in the past. I think iRacing Super Speedway, the first race there this season, we saw them come from quite a bit a ways back, just the two of them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that'll work tonight. You see them there at the back of the field, those red and white and red and black Dodge paint schemes. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But
Oh yeah, I asked them to make me one. I want one. So
yeah, that's a really cool looking scheme those two guys have back there. Nod to the old Dodge days, early 2000s. Definitely some cool looking race cars. Well, Brandon Briggs obviously stayed out, as we already mentioned. Going to be interesting to see. He's going to be leading the field here to the green flag. We'll see if he actually stays out front. If he does, he's going to be the one who's going to probably be hurting on fuel because he's going to have about 2 laps less than the rest of the field here. So if he is leading, he's definitely going to have to pit sooner than even normal just compared to the rest of the drivers, not just because he has less fuel, but also because he's out front and going full throttle. So we'll see
yeah,
if he decides to maybe tuck in behind someone else here or just try to settle back in line at some point.
yeah, there are techniques you can do by cutting off your motor and during the cause of fight. But I'm in his cockpit right now, but he's uh, still on the gas, not saving fuel. So we'll see.
Will be interesting to see for sure, but yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out as the 63 machine is going to be the control car on this restart. He's going to roll through the Geico restart zone, and we are going to be back underway on lap number 5. Gets a huge jump out front. The 63 machine with Jim Brooks behind him. Hopefully he doesn't get too
That's
far
not
out.
good.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't get too far.
Yeah, because that outside line is well organized, and that bottom is just you only got one car up. So if I was Brandon, I would move on up the track, but it is entirely way too late now. So
Yeah, I don't want to make
it's
those
gonna be
moves
Gabe
late.
Butler to the lead now, along with the 7 car and into 510. Oh, and Brandon Briggs goes to the bottom of the track. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
If I was, it was kind of weird. Maybe he just wanted to lead a lap. That's
Could
the
be.
only thing I can think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there'd be easier ways to do that because you could still come in second down pit road or coming down to the second lap and still get fuel. But yeah, it's interesting for sure. Yeah.
It all depends where you're pitting at too.
Yeah. Definitely true. Well, we see pretty much one lane in this outside line here. Most of these drivers being Team Bootnaka Esports guys. But we've got the 88, the 510, and the 18 teammates, and the 071 nose to tail, and the 8 machine there in 6th place, another teammate of theirs, with Ryan Decker kind of sandwiched in the middle. So a lot of the Team Bootnaka guys are at the front end, just kind of controlling this outside lane for now, as that 63 of Brandon Briggs just jumps back at the start of that, or at the beginning of that restart.
I'm going to see if Yep, that's just actually what I thought. Who's going to go to the bottom of the track?
Yeah, so the 18 takes the 071 and the 8 machines. So now we've got 5 of the Team Bootnaka guys pretty much at the front of this pack still, but they are too wide. Pretty much, I don't know. Can they block the rest of the track for another 70 laps or so? I doubt it.
No. It's tough. I have yet to get behind the wheel and practice with these guys. But like I said, I've been hearing just rumors. That's all I've been hearing from the guys. That's all. So I'm not great. I'm not the world's greatest pusher there. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Maybe they're just trying to make moves early on just to see how it's going to feel in the draft and get an idea of how these cars are racing now. Obviously, like we mentioned last Tuesday, there was a big update from iRacing, which updated, I mean, just about every single car on the service. So a lot of updates coming for just about every vehicle, and they'll definitely drive a little bit different when it happens.
Yeah, it happens every season. You know, they add a new car, you add a new track, but I'm not a fan of the new car, by the way.
Which new car?
Man, it's really tough to me to tell you. It's like the Formula V.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
It's a little slower.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of content being added to iRacing. Every 13 weeks, what they call a season, they'll add typically more racetracks or cars. So.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to cut you off. They call it the Ray FF 1600.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Well, we're clicking laps away, working on lap number 10 so far. The 88 machine of Gabe Butler still up front, leading most of the laps this evening so far, other than the few that Brandon Briggs led when he stayed out after that first yellow that we had from connection issues. And it looks like Edwin Outlaw here is about 14 seconds off the pace and still maybe having internet connection issues or possibly hardware issues, as we saw him blink out there for just a second. But yeah, it looks like he's going to have a tough time trying to rejoin this field and might have to retire from that at some point, but we'll keep an eye on that. Other than that, everybody is in this main pack, so who knows? Maybe it has changed where it is easier to stay with the lead draft. We'll have to wait and see if anybody does lose this pack from other reasons at any point, but for now we've got 18 cars up here going strong on lap number 11. A little bit of a wiggle there on the outside lane for the 61 machine as he was trying to push the 510 of Rick Sanchez right in front of him.
Like I said, that all-important car, that third car in line, but I don't know if it's this new draft model, if that is the key, because it looks like they're pushing very well without that third car in line really on their that rear bumper of the second place car. But it's all brand new draft model. I'm sitting here learning as much as you are, but I'm really surprised that that bottom lane hasn't really made any headway because I got more cars. But
Yeah.
it looks like the momentum has shifted now.
Yeah, the inside lane's getting a good run there through 3 and 4. The 07 machine of Brian Wayne giving a big push to the 18, and Zachary Workman's actually going to lead that lap that time by. So big pushes from that 07 machine as he pushes the 18 to the front. The 88 machine still working that outside lane, being pushed by the 510 of Rick Sanchez, followed by the 61 of Ryan Decker. In the inside lane, that's Zachary Workman, Brian Wang, and I believe Derek Buffo on the inside lane. They're pretty much lined 2 by 2 through the entire pack all the way back. Mm-hmm. Oh, 510 and the 61 are going to drop down. They're going to leave.
I like that move. That was a good move.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to see what they can and cannot do right now, just to try and see. Definitely getting a little dicey early on, a little bit aggressive, but sometimes you got to know how you can make these moves and what's going to happen. So who knows? I don't know if that's something that Team Bootnaga is planning on doing. In conversations, they're trying to try stuff here at the front of the pack, but definitely, if nothing else, definitely some very, very aggressive moves here early on.
Well, it's like three-way pushing going down the backstretch, the 510, 61, 07. Wow.
Yeah, we see quite a bit of chaos as the inside lane really now prevailing.
Yeah,
right along now.
Really checking up. Sorry to cut you up, but that top lane is very checking up really hard, and it looks like Gabe Butler is having a hard time pushing the 18. Yeah, I don't say that very often.
Yeah, interesting for sure. Who knows? These guys are just trying to figure out that damage model, but they're trying to make a little bit of headway here. Starting to get back up to even with the 5th car in line on the outside lane now. But yeah, the 510, the 61, the 07, and the 67 have all pretty much broken away on that inside lane as all that energy from the top lane just dissipated, and they've had to struggle to get back up to even the 5th place car in line. But so far, it's pretty much just the inside lane for 4 cars, and we still got 4 cars in that outside lane. Not too much more drastic moves that have happened other than obviously the 88 still trying to push the 18 back up to the front here with a couple teammates. There's still 4 teammates of Team Bootnaga lined up nose to tail in that outside lane. Some of the Team Extreme guys seem to just kind of have backed off a little bit, just kind of hanging out towards the middle of the pack, and pretty much everyone else just kind of getting in line. Obviously, the 1 and the 2 of Joshua Hanner and Chris Bassini, couple teammates back there, hanging out. Some of the Roswell Motorsports guys just kind of hanging out in the back of the pack like they typically do, just trying to avoid the chaos, and everyone's just finding where they settle in here with now only 16 laps completed.
That used to be kind of me. I'd kind of like tried to turn up the aggression, and it's kind of like bit me a few times. But some of these other guys, they've been running up front, staying up front, and to win these races, you got to be aggressive, and that's what I'm trying to learn. And you know what I mean? It's just I never see some of these guys out in the back and just like be up front at the end. You got to be aggressive.
Yeah, you got to know what the car can and cannot handle, and you got to be able to sometimes make those mistakes and figure out what you can't do before you can learn what you can do. But interesting to see Gabe Butler's still very much struggling to push that 18 machine anywhere towards the front of this pack. They've fallen back now quite a base as they get disconnected just a little bit there through the tri-oval.
Yeah, not many cars are up there when they only got 5 cars in that pack, and you got about what? I'm guessing, if I had to guess, probably about
13.
11 cars down there.
Yeah, I think it's We got 13 if there's 5 in the outside lane. So
13.
yeah.
You're right. Just a guess.
Yeah, no, we were pretty close. They are going to catch that lap car of will be Edwin Outlaw now. So hopefully he can try and regain the draft here, see if he can continue to have a stable connection to the service. I'm thankful my issues with iRacing have gone away, because I've had some similar issues lately myself with connection and internet. So hopefully, looks like no issues so far tonight, and it seems like the broadcast has been running smooth, at least as smooth as we can make it here at Green White Checker TV. But always glad to be covering this Area 51 series, and it's going to be a fun shootout here for the next 4 races in these playoffs. So we're working on lap number 19. Usually somewhere around lap 19-20 is when we start to see drivers starting to peel off.
Yeah.
And we're getting close there,
20,
even though...
About 21 laps.
Yeah.
I don't know what they've done to the fuel, but...
Yeah, so they last pitted on lap number 3, which means that a lot of these drivers are probably going to be stretching it another 3 laps or so after that first yellow for the 12 machine of Edwin Outlaw. But we're going to have to wait and see if some of these guys are going to try. Obviously, the guys in the outside lane are going to have to figure out where they fall in as far as when they're going to pit. If they pit later, obviously that'd make it easier for them. But a little bit of a bobble there for the 7 machine of James Moen off the corner. But so far, pretty much that inside line just kind of hanging out. James Moen's going to try and run up to the outside lane there. Tucking behind the 63 machine, so he's not worried about pitting in a couple laps. He's trying to get to the outside lane here.
Yes, sir. You got to make up as much time as you can. You got to get that all-important pit stop. As we know, we've seen the field strung out. And as I say time and time again, last week I have failed pitting, and you cannot mess up pitting. That's number one. You mess up your pit stop, and it's pretty much game over for you.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen drivers lose or gain a lot of time on pit road, and it's going to be very important. Obviously, before at the very beginning of the broadcast, I mentioned how critical it is going to be to just about be perfect, or at least not make any mistakes over these next 4 races if you are expecting to do well in these playoffs. So definitely got to execute as much as you possibly can at all points of the race, and green flag pit stops definitely being one of the biggest things to try and master.
So projected laps is about 24. Hey, you see, I think Brandon Brick is pitting.
All right, the 63 machine. Yep, he jumped down to the inside lane there, just in front of the 51 machine of Jim Brooks. So the 63 is going to be coming down this time by. Obviously, you can't pit from that outside lane, so he had to make his way. That's definitely going to be a lonely pit road there for that 63 machine, unfortunately, as he's going to duck off.
Yeah.
You see him all by himself in that chrome and black number 63 machine. He's going to get down on pit road pretty well. A little bit of a lockup there, but hopefully made it down to pit road speed.
That's pretty smooth.
Yeah,
pretty smooth.
Not too bad. Obviously, you can get pretty aggressive as you get onto pit road, and we do actually see... No, just kidding. I thought I saw Chris Bassini entering pit road. Looks like a couple drivers having some connection issues there. Maybe Edwin Outlaw, more connection issues for him.
I think Chris has got a little internet issue.
Yeah, Chris might have had. Then for a second, I tried to pull him up, and yeah. But anyway, we are back to the action at the front of this pack. Now everyone is single file. Everyone on the Team Bootnaka Esports guys have found their way to that bottom lane, and they are getting ready to make the pit stop. 510 machine of Rick Sanchez still leading the only lane on the racetrack right now, with Ryan Decker, Brian Wing, Derek Buffo, and Austin Call, your top 5 at the moment. 24 laps underway. Next time by will be at the 1/3 mark of the race. I'm assuming we're going to have quite a few drivers coming down for service this time by.
Yeah, think he lost. Yeah, I think we lost our
Okay, Chris
Bassini.
Bassini. Okay. Okay, well, I was mistaken. Looks like nobody's going to come that time, but we're getting close to those green flag pit stops. I wonder, I'd be curious to see if you think
Don't
everyone's going to
forget
come.
don't forget we had about 3 laps of caution here. So
We did, yeah.
my projected is probably around from about 26 to 27.
Okay, so a couple more laps then. You do see that 63 machine towards the front of the pack. He is going to go a lap down this time by, and pretty lonely road there by himself, as the rest of the field is going to catch him just as they cross onto the front straightaway here. And looks like we got a bunch of guys coming in this time by. Just about everybody coming down. A lot of cars coming down. For the most part, everyone gets in pretty well. The 2 machine getting in very aggressively.
Yes, that was an excellent entry by Mr. Hanner.
All right, we're going to see all these cars making their way into their pit stops. The 51 and the 61 machine are two that actually stayed out on the racetrack. You see the 61 machine of Ryan Decker has caught the 63 of Brandon Briggs, who is currently 1 lap down. And then Jim Brooks back there, he's falling off the pace there of the 61 machine, who has no help. So this is definitely going to hurt probably the 61 and the 51, probably the 51 more than anything for not coming down that time by. But 61 machine in that Sensi Toyota is going to make his way onto pit road. Pretty lonely there for the two of the 56 and the 60, or the 51 and the 61 coming down this time by. Looks like Rick Sanchez is going to lead the rest of the field off of pit road, followed by Zach Workman, Dude Conrad, Gabe Butler, and Derek Buffo, who will be your top 5 likely once this all sorts out.
Okay, now I'm interested to see. I am looking at Eric Laurie and I'm looking at Josh Hanner. I'm just curious how this update had fair shared with those cars down there.
For Brian Wang and Eric Laurie?
The 2 and the 071. See how far back they are. I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're a little bit off the pace there. So we'll try and catch up with who's all in what pack, as now Richard Sanchez is going to go by the 61 machine. So this is going to be the lead pack here, as they're going to sort out the 510, the 18, the 8, the 88, the 67, and the 7 machine, as well as the 07 of Brian Wang. These guys are going to cycle out to be pretty much in a pack by themselves. We're going to have to go back to Ryan Decker, who's continuing to fall before we get to this next pack, but they are going to be swallowed up by the 071 of Eric Laurie, Todd Merkel, Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, and Bud Steele at the end of this pack. And then Jim Brooks and Gael Brooks are by themselves. So these guys are about 18 seconds off of the lead, I believe. So a little bit of a gap for them, but Gael, I believe Gael was in the pack, but I would assume that he might have jumped back to pick up his dad and try to help him out, as Gael like often does.
Yeah, you gotta help your dad out.
Yeah, honorable for sure for Gael to try and get his dad back to the front, and we'll see how their progress is.
Now, okay, do you see how they're bumping each other? Before the update, you were not able to do that because of that bubble of air, because you could not make contact with the car in front of you. Now you're able to do that, which is I applaud iRacing, because that needs to be done.
Well, good for sure. Hopefully that is the update that most of these drivers have been looking for. You can see they're getting a couple good pushes from the 71 is Jim Brooks from his son Gael, so definitely quite a bit of push there. They're going to try and make their way back to that pack, and like I said, we'll keep an eye on it. But jumping up to the lead, though, we've still got the 510 of Rick Sanchez up here leading this first pack, mostly with Team Boondock Esports drivers. Did you expect to see this pack get... Oh, actually, I believe Matt's going down to talk to a couple drivers there. So we are rocking here with this front pack: Richard Sanchez, Zachary Workman, the 8 machine of Dude Conrad, Gabe Butler, Derek Buffo, James Moen, and Brian Wang again in this first pack. We go about 4 seconds back, and we've got Eric Laurie, and his cast and crew of Todd Merkel, Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, Bud Steele, and Ryan Decker in that pack. And then back about 9 seconds off of them is going to be Jim Brooks and Gael Brooks. And Jimmy Pyland and Edwin Outlaw are riding around somewhere. Jimmy Pyland actually, so it looks like he had a pit road speeding penalty. So his last pit stop was 49 seconds long. So he is going to be off the pack a little bit here, one lap down, and we're going to see the Brooks crew probably going to pick him up. Gael's going to jump down to get him in line and get him back up to speed with them. So definitely unfortunate for Jimmy Pyland there in that 36 machine to have served that penalty under green flag, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Matt, looked like you're doing some reconnaissance. What'd you find out?
Well, the boys are losing time. Like I said, see how well organized that front group is? Tightly all together, pushing. Now, if you go back 5 seconds to Eric Laurie and Tom Merkel and them, I see no pushing, and I see losing time. They're losing about 5/10 a lap, and it's growing.
Yeah, so last time by, Rick Sanchez ran a 45.72 to Eric Laurie's 46.17. So right about half a second there is a big difference, as that front pack of 7 cars is going to continue to gap these guys in this second pack, unfortunately. Jim Brooks and Gael Brooks are slightly even slower, just probably because of the lack of cars that they have for the energy in their pack, and they were running at about a 46.63 last time, so they're about a whole second slower than the front pack. Unfortunately, they're going to need a yellow or something else drastic to happen for them to be able to get back up with the main pack.
Pushing. You're going to have to.
Yeah,
There's no way you're going to beat these guys.
Do you think with only 2 cars, though, or the 3 cars now that they've picked up Jimmy Pyland, that they're going to be able to have enough energy to push and get back to the pack?
No.
Okay.
No, because I'm watching. Okay. Look at the 8th, 9th, 10th place car. Look at the gaps. All right. Now you go up to the leaders. Go up to the leaders. See how well organized and tightly packed they are. Like pretty much not close to the 18s pushing on the 510. They're just gapping. It's just I'm gonna have to do something.
Definitely, and we see actually they're getting a little bit racy up in this front pack as the 88's going to jump out to that outside lane. They feel like they've got enough of a strong lead in this front to be able to try and race it out, but Bunaka Esports are trying to lead every single lane no matter what, and it's kind of been their strategy just about all night long so far.
Look at the 7 of James there.
It's a big push. He's going to try and push 88 all the way through the middle of the corner.
Holy crap. He's going.
Wow, what a push from the 7 machine. He's going to push him all the way to the lead.
Nice.
All the way to the lead for the 7 machine on the outside, but that's going to leave the 07 out by himself. Brian Wing, he'll be able to fall back behind the 67 of Derek Buffo there. But yeah, definitely definitely playing around a little bit here, trying to see what they can and cannot do. But that 7 machine is giving an absolute push to that 88 machine.
Yeah,
and they're doing a pretty
fantastic. Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. Over 201 miles an hour going into turn number 3. Yeah, I think Iverson did a really good job.
Definitely interesting for sure. I know obviously the next gen cars in real life drive quite a bit different in the draft than just about any other stock car from recent generations or other current styles of stock cars in the Xfinity series or the truck series, but definitely a big difference in the aero where drag is so much different on those cars where you get such a huge run and can push really hard. I mean, we've seen even in the Cup Series sometimes where you almost get an effect of almost like the two car tandem that we used to see in the early 2000 teens.
Chris is back on the racetrack. I just kind of interested if he was going to help his teammate.
Would be interesting for sure. We'll pick him up. He's actually in a pack with the 12 machine of Edwin Outlaw, who seems to still have internet connectivity issues, and then the 63 of Brandon Briggs as well. So these guys are all a couple laps down, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it didn't sound like my week, but it is what it is. I think I'm looking at the 61. I think Ryan Decker but still had enough, and they're sitting there realizing how much time they're losing, and it's just really frustrating for them guys in the back. They want to get that second lane going and have Decker just push, you know, the crap out of the tank car. So that'd be my guess.
Yeah, it's definitely possible if you've got a lane or a group of cars that are severely disorganized that cannot, get a good solid push going. Sometimes two cars can actually do more work, as you see the 10 and the 61 are going to try and jump to that outside lane and see what they can do to try and get out ahead of the 071 and the 3 machine of Todd Merkel and Austin Call. But definitely not a lot of movement from this pack, although they have been running fairly even laps to our leaders that last time by. We'll check and see what they update as this time by, and that lap, this past lap, they were about 0.4 of a second slower, so kind of a bit of a give and take, but for the most part, there's still net loss to our leaders and about a gap about 8 seconds to the front of the pack. Working on lap number 40 here as we continue to click them off single file here, pretty much as most of the field has been broken up into 3 packs, as we've seen. If you're just now joining, we've got about 7 cars in this front pack. Gabe Butler, James Mullen, Rick Sanchez, Zachary Workman, Dude Conrad, Derek Buffalo, and
Yeah,
Brian Wang in this pack.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then about 8 seconds back, we've got Eric Laurie, Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, Todd Merkel, Bud Steele, and Ryan Decker in a second pack, trying to see what they can do to get back up to the front, but they are still continuing to lose time, as now the 64 machine is going to be leading this outside lane.
Yeah, I can sense it. Like I said, I can sense the frustration out of Bud Steele and the 61 and Hanner there, because it's just hard for them to push.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure, because obviously we've seen a couple drivers try and switch manufacturers throughout the season just to see if different nose styles are actually easier to push with. But obviously I know in the Cup Series in real life, they made a bunch of changes to the front noses of all the machines, but mostly heavily influenced the Chevrolets, who had much more of a pointed nose during last season. It's now more of a flatter, more flush nose, more like the Mustangs now. Is you see it's really a Mustang body underneath that. The artwork of the number 2 machine is pushing the heck out of the back of that 64 machine.
Yeah.
They're trying to get back up to the front.
Yes, they are. I can't say that I blame them, guys. Like I said, it's just frustration, and I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, we'll see the 2 machine trying to duck out to the outside this time. Nobody's going to go with them, though, unfortunately. And the 10 machine is now going to be pushing the 64 in this second pack, but not much you can do. You're about 9 seconds off the pace. That last lap, they were the same speed just about as the front pack, but unfortunately with the 10-second gap, almost too little too late, as we are over halfway now through the race. Looks like the 12 machine of Edwin Outlaw is pulling onto pit road. Not sure if he's just getting service or if he is going to be parking it.
Yeah, almost an issue here.
Yeah.
I had a near miss of the 12 car coming on the pit road. About caused a big accident. Wow.
Yeah, we saw it there for a second as we saw the 88 machine driving by, but the 12 machine now on pit road. We'll see if he is electing to retire from his hardware and or software issues tonight. Definitely, kind of unique situation to iRacing, Matt, is those, internet connectivity or whatever hardware issues you have. But, just like in real racing, it's, it's still down to your equipment and being able to perform week in, week out.
I guess I can see your point there, but I hate having issues. And when I have issues, I go out and spend the money, just like any race team. You go out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I just spent some money on a brand new router this past week, so I know exactly what you mean to try and fix some of our issues here.
Don't wear it out. Don't wear it out. I've been having a little bit of drop frames over here, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just the next gen car. I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll see. I've had a couple here, but not enough that I don't think it's affecting the broadcast at least. But hopefully, no issues there. But we're still pretty much single file. Looks like the 63 machine of Brandon Briggs is down on pit road this time by, so he is getting some service himself. As we continue to click off these laps here, the one machine of Chris Passini there is going to be collected by this first pack. I believe at this point he is 3 laps down to our leaders. 4 laps down, excuse me, as the pylon updates again. So he's 4 laps down now to the 88 machine of Gabe Butler, followed by James Moen, who really have just kind of been staying put since the 7 machine pushed the 88 out to the lead ahead of the 510 and the 18 machine. But most of these drivers up here are either Team Extreme or Team Bootnock. We got a couple others in the mix with Derek Buffo and Brian Wang in this front pack. Again, we mentioned there's that second pack now about 10 seconds back, led by Austin Call, Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, Eric Laurie, Todd Merkel, and Joshua Hanner. And then Jim Brooks and Gael Brooks are in a pack by themselves now, about 23 seconds behind our leaders. So pretty quiet so far. I don't think this is really going to lend itself to a lot of action for the rest of this race unless we do have a yellow here, Matt.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to have some pit stops here coming here very shortly. Yeah, here they come.
There they are. This whole front pack. Wow, that 8 machine goes all the way down to that inside wall to try and gain a spot. 7 machine. Ooh, that was close for the 88.
Yeah.
Zachary Workman grabbed a couple spots there on that pit entry there. Jumps ahead of the 510 machine. Idiot's going to grab that.
Too much rear brake, as you would say.
Yeah, Idiot's going to grab that first pit stall there. And we see the second pack. Some takers, Austin Call, Todd Merkel, and the 2 of Chris Passini as well. Sorry, that's Joshua Hanner in the 2 machine, excuse me. They are going to pit that time by from that second pack. So that leaves Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, and Eric Laurie out here by themselves in this second pack. Hope to see if they can do better with this second group, the second set of green flag pit stops that we are about to have from these guys as well. Looks like Jim Brooks is in the pits. Dude Conrad is still in his box 36 seconds after he entered.
Uh-oh.
That's a penalty, unfortunately, for him. So
I'm not tracking any penalties over here.
Really? Okay, interesting. Yeah, because we saw him duck to the inside of the track there. So we'll see, I guess, if he gets going here in a second. I mean, that's definitely been longer than a stop and hold, so potentially some issues there for that 8 machine. But Bud Steele, Eric Laurie, and the 61 of Ryan Decker are in this time by. That is going to give the lead to these guys here, the 88 machine of Gabe Butler and Zach Workman, along with Brian Wang. The only 3 cars here in this front pack. They've actually gapped themselves from the second pack as the 12 machine there, you see Edwin Outlaw still trying to make laps around the outside of the speedway. Outside lane of the speedway, I should say. We've actually got now a 1.5 second gap back to Richard Sanchez, James Moen, Derek Buffo, and Joshua. No, that's Chris Passini there, getting them mixed up. Ooh, a little bit of a wow. The 12 machine almost getting into the back of the 510. Wow, of Rick Sanchez there. You saw that live on your screen. Definitely some continued plagued issues for that 12. Did you see it, Matt?
I did not. We have to show the replay of
yeah. I don't think I'll be able to pull that replay up on there, but yeah, definitely take a look at that, Matt. That was pretty close, but Yeah, so a little bit of a gap there now. This second pack is now 13, 14 seconds back off of our leaders, now being led by Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, and Todd Merkel. Eric Laurie has fallen off of this pack, and then Jim Brooks and Gael Brooks have made their pit stops as well, are still connected to each other and trying to push as much as they can to get back up to the front. Jimmy Pyland still off by himself. Dude Conrad still sitting on pit road, so definitely some interesting issues for that 8 machine. We'll have to see if we can figure out what that was at the end of this. And then we got Chris Bassini still running here, a couple laps down. Brandon Briggs looks like he has retired for the evening. So pick it back up with our front pack here of Gabe Butler. Now just 3 cars with the ability to win it if this stays green. And we hit the 2/3 mark at lap number 50 here, Matt.
I think the way, as we've seen how aggressive James' pushing has been, I think they're able to catch him. That would be my guess. James has been doing a very good job here tonight.
Yeah, James has definitely been probably the most aggressive pusher out there, doing a pretty good job. Was pushing the 88 for a while, now pushing the 510 of Rick Sanchez. So we'll see as they come across the stripe there as the lap times update. It was a 45.65 for Gabe Butler in the 88 machine, a 46 flat for Richard Sanchez. So about 4/10 of a difference there between the front pack and the back pack. And there's 4 cars in the second pack and 3 cars in the first. So interesting enough for sure.
Yeah, it all depends. Like I said, I think that third car is still key. I think that because right now they're about 200 miles an hour going down the back end.
Yeah, definitely important for sure. You can't really push too much as the third car in line because obviously you see what happened at, the 2021 Daytona 500 where Michael McDowell won after he was pushing the 22, who was pushing the 2, and they wrecked each other. But definitely interesting to see for sure. But we'll see what kind of speeds is there. A little bit broken up here, but Gabe Butler entering the corner, running through the middle of the corner about 90 miles an hour, 190, excuse me. We'll see what his speed tops out at the end of the straightaway, and then we'll switch back to the 510.
Oh, that was a big checkup by the 510. Something just like, wow, that 07 about he about killed the. I don't know if he just slammed on the brakes or just. Whoa.
It's interesting enough. You saw the speed difference there as the 88 machine was entering the corner at about 200 miles an hour, whereas Richard Sanchez was entering at about 194, 195. So a little bit slower for sure. And that time they're about 0.3 of a second slower. The Richard Sanchez, James Moan, and Derek Buffo pack here of 4 cars with that number 1 machine of Chris Bassini with them, as well as they put Jimmy Pyland another lap down. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens, but for the most part, we've entered the countdown portion of the tickers. You see 23 laps to go on your screen. We're no longer counting up, we're counting down to the end of this race here. And going to be one more pit stop, I would believe, from all of these drivers before the end of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be about one more pit stop. That's interesting. I've seen the 67 one to push to 7. Are they teammates? Can you confirm that with me?
We can take a look here. Yeah. No, I've seen James Moen in a team chat all by himself, and then Austin Call, Derek Buffalo, and Todd Merkel working together tonight. So no teammates in this pack here, as the 510 of Rick Sanchez is now dropping off that pack just a little bit here. So not sure what issues that 510 machine has been having, but we saw the checkout, like you mentioned, we couldn't show on the broadcast, but Matt mentioned the checkup from the 510 in front of the 7, and now the 510 is getting disconnected from this pack here. We'll see if he can catch back up, see if that new draft model has changed to where he can pull back up to these cars ahead of him.
I'm just kind of interested if they gave him nose damage on the 7. Let's sit here and take a look. No, he looks pretty clean, because that was a pretty hard hit.
For the most part on the broadcast here, we show a clean front end for that 7 of James Moen as they drive down the backstretch. And we do actually see the 510 of Rick Sanchez able to re-catch this pack. So that's something that I don't think we would have seen a week ago before the latest damage, or not damage, but just car model updates. So definitely a bit of a difference there, as now you see the 67 pushing all over the back of the 7 in this 3-car pack for 4th through 6th. We'll take a second to go through the field. If you're recently joining us, we've got a bit of a breakup from a bunch of different groups here after multiple rounds of green flag pit stops, after one yellow flag to begin the race early on for internet connection issues. But Gabe Butler, Zach Workman, and Brian Wang have found their way to the top podium placings right now, enjoying a 7-second lead over this second pack of James Moen, Derek Buffo, and Rick Sanchez. Following them will be the 10 machine of Bud Steele, now being pushed by Ryan Decker, Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, and Todd Merkel in this third group. They are about 17 seconds off of the lead, and then we've got to go quite a bit of ways back. We got Eric Laurie now being pushed by Gael Brooks and Jim Brooks. They are about 33 seconds off the pace towards the back of this pack. Everybody else pretty much a lap down, kind of tucked in somewhere. We've got Jimmy Pyland out by himself, and Chris Bassini now by himself. Dude Conrad, Edwin Outlaw, Brandon Briggs, and Larry Fairman have retired from the race, and that will pretty much take us through the ticker. Obviously, you see my name up there as well. Some hiccups from joining, but it looks like we see the 88 machine, the 18, and the 07 are going to make their pit stops this time by, with 19 to go. This will be their last pit stops in the race. Rick Sanchez also in this time. Nobody else from that second group, though. That's interesting, Matt.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. It seems kind of fishy to me. I just don't understand why he would break up from that 2-car pack there. And now he just pretty much just threw himself out of contention.
Yeah, so we'll see here. He's going to be quite a ways behind his other teammates here. But so Derek Buffo and James Moen are going to inherit the lead here at the front of this pack. Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, and Todd Merkel in that group are all going to be still on track as we see the 67 and the 7 coming in this time by. Getting down to pit road speeds. A little bit of a lockup from both of them, but hopefully they got down to speed. And that is going to give the lead to the 10 machine here of Bud Steele. He's going to collect a lap led there that time by. Still being pushed by the 61 machine of Ryan Decker with Austin Call, Joshua Hanner, and Todd Merkel in the draft. The 36 machine of Jimmy Pyland has also found this pack. And definitely a little bit of a strategy here. I think they would be able to go probably to about lap... probably say about lap 67, so to maybe about 10 to go here, Matt. Do you think it's better to just wait it out and see how long you can stay out here, or do you think it's better to try and pit sooner, knowing that the other guys have kind of jumped that with Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman pitting already for their last time?
Well, it all depends where you can be out on track. It's really hard to say. I know you want to stay out and try and save that fuel, but it's not going to happen. You're pretty much, you're basically going to be like 5 laps short, and it's just they want to stay out. Hopefully they catch a caution, and I don't know. We'll have to see it play out, because it's going to be a fuel-only stop when they do come down.
Yeah, definitely one advantage to coming later is that you can take a little bit less fuel, have a little bit less fuel in the car. Obviously, that makes the car a little bit lighter, but not going to make that much of a difference here on a Super Speedway as far as the weight of the car, but something different. I mean, they've definitely not been able to outpace Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman, and the likes of Eric Laurie, Guile Brooks, and Jim Brooks are actually running the 4th, 5th, and 6th fastest lap of that last lap, followed by this front-running group right now. So something to try at least, and if a caution were to come out, I think they would definitely be in a better position. But no, I take that back because, Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman are still on the lead lap, so it's not really going to make much of a difference to stay out here Unless they could stay the rest of the way, but I just do not see that happening. That would have been, that'd be 30 laps. There's no way you can go 30 laps on green flag conditions.
No, there's no way. But it's like a miracle you can. Or you could be Jimmy Johnson at that horseshoe.
I don't think even Jimmy Johnson could pull that off, but let's have to wait and see. But we're still waiting for Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, Austin Call, Joshua Hander, and Todd Merkel in this front pack here. Top 5 to make their final pit stop of the race. Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman have pit. The group behind them of Eric Laurie, Guile Brooks, and Jim Brooks, who are I mentioned behind Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman, have not pit either. And then looks like Rick Sanchez is by himself after coming down by himself, but he is probably going to get swallowed up again by James Moen and Derek Buffo. So maybe no harm, no foul for the 510 machine. He probably got on and off pit road better than the 7 and the 67. But unfortunately, because he had no drafting partners, he's just going to get sucked up back to that same pack, and currently looking about 35 seconds off of the leaders, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, it is what it is, sir, but
definitely one of the least eventful races we've seen to start the playoffs in past history, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I think for the most part, you're probably going to see the same drivers finish in the top 3 of Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman, who have made their final pit stops and only are 12 seconds behind the leaders and still are consistently running the fastest laps of anybody on track by about 3, 4, 5 tenths a lap. Bud Steele and Ryan Decker in this group is probably the second fastest group on track now, with Eric Laurie, Guile Brooks, and Jim Brooks, who are about 16 seconds off of the leader right now, running the third fastest group. Yeah, definitely quite segmented. Other than that first yellow that we had, we really haven't seen a lot of action on track other than just drivers taking advantage or losing time on these green flag pit stops.
yeah, as a driver, me as a fake race car driver, I would be frustrated and knowing that I'm losing time like per lap, and it's just waiting for things to play out and hopefully they play your way, and just hoping for the best.
Yeah, sometimes there's not a ton that you can do and just have to push who's in front of you and go from there. But yeah, that's just sometimes is the nature of speedway racing, especially when you get this much of a difference as far as how drivers are able to get in and off of pit road. So we're going to be 10 laps to go this time by. The 10 machine of Bud Steele continues to get a couple laps led here. Probably not going to be enough to get the most laps led, but still a bonus point for those playoffs for Bud Steele. Yeah. Definitely helpful for sure. In those playoffs, we do have that reset of 2,000 points for every driver. And yeah, definitely have to give you an update on those points at the beginning of next week. Didn't bother showing them this week because they're the same for all of those drivers, all at 2,000 points. First driver not in the playoffs is friend of the broadcast, Mr. Guile Brooks. So he is going to sit out the playoffs, but he's still running night. Obviously, not having the showing that he wants, as quite a bit of other drivers are also not having the showing they want. Just not having that execution under green flag, which was something that we said for these playoffs. You're going to have. You can't make mistakes. Got to have execution.
Yeah, that's like what we talked about. Pit stops is number one, and you cannot be slow.
Definitely one of the guys that's done it the best tonight has been Gabe Butler with Brian Wang and Zach Workman in tow all night long. There's a reason why Gabe Butler has won so many championships. I think he's actually at a point where he swept the championships all last year and is looking to this year run, I believe, his 4th or his 5th championship in a row. But
I'm gonna give it my best.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and break that string.
Yeah. So here, actually, I take it back. I think that I'm trying to remember. I might be mixing up the Thursday night and the Sunday night series,
Oh, that
but
Thursday night. Oh, he's completely dominated that
yeah,
week.
Thursday night he's been, I think,
He's been untouchable.
yeah, I apologize. 'Cause I used to run the Thursday night broadcast, and I'm pretty sure he won every single championship in that series
Yeah,
on Thursday night. So,
he's
yep,
done everything.
yep. So I
I,
apologize.
no, you're
Different,
fine.
different for Sunday nights. Yeah,
Oh, who's leading right now after all these pit stops?
yeah, definitely. There's a reason why he's won quite a few of them. But we got a couple guys in the pits this time by Eric Laurie, Jim Brooks, and Gael Brooks. Those guys are trying to stick together. 71 and the 51 going to jump out ahead of the 071 as they all look like they all pretty much grabbed fuel only for the rest. And we do actually have our current leaders in this time by as well. So the 10 of Bud Steele, Austin Call, 67, the 3, Todd Merkel, all in this time by. So that is going to re-inherit the lead to that 88 machine of Gabe Butler with Brian Wang and Zach Workman in tow, as we mentioned. And we will see how this second pack shakes out. They're about 13 seconds off of our leaders and falling as they get off of pit road, but for the most part they seem pretty organized, so I believe they're going to stay as that second pack. And yeah, because I think the third pack is going to have quite a ways to catch them, but
Well,
when it shakes back out, we'll definitely have to update that and go back through it. But go ahead, Matt.
I think we've got a violation here. Looks like Henner got a penalty here. Looks like speeding in the pits.
So he's going to pull off to that outside lane there, it looks like this time. And he is unfortunately going to be... No, sorry, he's held on pit road. I'm thinking about Chris Bassini's still out on the racetrack, his teammate. I apologize, Josh and Chris, if you hear this. I have confused you guys all night long. And but yeah, Joshua Hanner all by himself. And actually, no, he's going to have Jimmy Pilen by him. Jimmy's a couple laps behind him, but at least he'll have a drafting partner. So he's not completely by himself. But a 40-second stop and hold for either speeding in the pits or an unsafe pit entry. But that's that execution that we talked about. I mean, I don't think Josh was going to have a stellar night compared to some of the other drivers, but it's definitely going to put him further back, and he's actually going to get passed by Gael Brooks, Eric Laurie, and Jim Brooks. So unfortunate for him, but he'll be trapped a lap down too. But now that we've got everybody has pitted, we're going to take you through. We got 5 laps to go, so there's not too much action on track, but we'll take you through where they're running right now. You see Gabe Butler, Brian Wang, and Zach Workman still in this front pack. Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, Austin Call, Todd Merkel, and a lap car, it looks like, of the one of Chris Bassini. I'm pretty sure I got that right this time in this pack here. So this is the second pack that we have on track. Going to go another 6 seconds back to James Moen here. In the 7 machine with the 67 of Derek Buffo and Rick Sanchez behind them. Another 11.5 seconds behind that is Gael Brooks, Eric Laurie, and Jim Brooks. As you can see there, just in the distance, are our leaders of the 88 and crew. Joshua Hanner by himself now at the tail end of 1 lap down. And he's got Jimmy Piland pushing him. And then we mentioned Chris Bassini in this pack. He is currently 5 laps down, and everybody else out of the race. So 4 laps to go. We could try and make it as exciting as possible here on this final call, but for the most part, I think your podium is going to be set between the 88, the 07, and the 18. Yeah. Have to see if Brian Wang makes a move, but I think if Brian pulls out, he's going to have to side draft that 88 machine a lot because that 18 is going to suck right in behind the 88 and help him out. So, and as I take it back, Brian Wang is also working with Team Bootnaka. So I would assume that these guys are probably just going to be pushing each other to the finish, and it's going to be pretty uneventful.
Yeah, I was kind of interested to see if I wanted to see that 7 car mix it up with those front pack.
Yeah, probably.
Because I really wanted to see him get up there and mixed up. He's been doing a phenomenal job all day long. But like I said, it's when he came off of pit road, he was not lined up with. He's only like a half second behind those lead cars, and then he just lost the draft, and it's what it is.
Who is that you're referring to that lost the draft like that?
Oh, James Mohan.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That pack back here. Well, some
The
excitement here is the 88 machine is going to pass the pack of the 71, the 071, and the 51, but that's not really too exciting here. We're going to come down to 2 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, a
Pretty
couple of pair
much.
of 71 cars there.
Mm-hmm. We'll get some
Hey,
side-by-side action for the Brooks. Yep. Jim and Gael are side-by-side for being the first car 1 lap down. That's something exciting that we can report on the white flag lap. And the 51 machine of Jim Brooks is going to take that, but unfortunately there's going to be no lucky dog because there are no more yellow flags. The 88 machine, the 07, and the 18 are pretty much smooth sailing as they've got about 1.25 miles to go halfway through this 1.5 mile oval to try and make it back. It looks like the 18's trying to make something happen on that outside lane, maybe see if he can get a push past his other teammates, but lap cars aren't going to help him too much here, and they're going to come down to the stripe, and it is going to be an uneventful night, but a great night for the Team Boonaki Esports drivers, going 1, 2, 3. Gabe Butler picking up the first win of the playoffs with Brian Wang and Zach Workman rounding out that podium. And we'll see if we can round through the rest of the field. Bud Steele in this second pack is going to... There's some 2-wide, 3-wide action. Oh, there's a bit of a wreck there towards the end of the race, but Todd Merkel is actually going to lead the line for that second pack. See if we can catch the third pack here of Derek Buffalo lost James Moen. And James Moen's actually coming to a very slow crawl towards the end of the race there. As he just about pretty much comes to a stop just after the checkered flag. And that'll do it for everyone finishing here tonight. We're going to see the 88 machine of Gabe Butler coming back around. Still looks like he's pretty much wide open coming back around the track, but we're going to have a second here talk to him. He's going to take his victory lap.
That was a great effort by Tom Merkel there.
Yeah, that was exciting. At least I wish we should have gone back to that, but Todd Merkel actually finishing fourth there, 3 wide at the finish line. See if we can actually take it back there for just a second. Trying to take it back to where the checkered flag flew, but running out of talent with... let's see if we can...
Are you running out of talent?
Yeah. Apparently it picked him up. Well, it picked him up in turn number 1 and 2, so I guess we can maybe watch this all the way to the finish here. And you can see how the 3 machine of Todd Merkel was able to get around the 61 and the 10 machine. Definitely was some excitement as they were 3 wide as the 64 machine and the 1 actually had a really big run coming down. And we'll see here. The 3 pulled to the outside lane, had quite a bit of a draft. 61 gets a little bit of a contact there, gets him sideways, but he comes in front of the 10 machine. So it'll be Todd Merkel, Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, and Austin Call finishing out that pack there. But anyway, that was probably the most exciting thing that we had to see towards the end of this race, so wanted to give you some of that action there. And now I think we've got an opportunity to bring up some of our drivers for interview. First one will be that number 18 machine of Zach Workman, who we will bring up into the broadcast booth. And definitely a bit of a quiet night for most of the last of the race there. For about halfway on, it seemed like it was pretty quiet, but you were able to get that 1, 2, 3 finish with your teammates of Gabe and Brian. Zach, take us through how your race went tonight.
Pretty good. Try to make it exciting there at the end, but this guy out couldn't get to me fast enough, unfortunately. But no, it was a fun race. Yeah, just following them. Those guys are way more experienced and better than I am at this cars and iRacing in general, to be honest. So I'm just kind of following them. This when they say pit, I'm gonna pit and put how much gas they say. I'm like, cool. So I was just pretty much the follower tonight, but 1, 2, 3 finish is pretty cool with these guys. It's nice running with them. I used to run with Gabe on different league. We used to be teammates, but unfortunately we moved to different teams. So it's nice to race with them at least once a week.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously you've shown your strength running with those guys at times, and had to be there with them as well up in the front of the pack. But you guys were able to execute, and I mean, even some of your teammates unfortunately not able to execute on pit stops and such, just to get strung out further back in the pack. But the three of you were able to stick together and make that happen tonight.
Yeah, if you make like one mistake in this car, it seems like you can lose the pack so fast. So, got to be pretty much on it, and thankfully we were tonight.
Yeah, definitely want to ask. I know we were kind of talking about it. Matt and I haven't had a chance to drive these cars since the update of last Tuesday that iRacing put out. Was there a big difference in the draft that you could tell from these cars? I know at one point we did see a couple drivers catch back up to a pack when we expected them to maybe have fallen off. But other than that, could you tell any difference from inside of the car tonight?
Yeah, it was like the RPMs have changed, so it only goes to 9,000 now, and these cars seem a little bit tougher to push, especially with the temperatures. Like the oil temp was getting super, super high, so it was a challenge try to keep that cool. But for the most part, not too much difference, but just the oil temp was super high, and the pushing seemed a little bit different, and then the RPMs now are only 9,000 till it red lines.
Yeah, it definitely makes a little bit of a difference, but it doesn't seem like it made too much, at least from your guys' point of view. But yeah, I mean, really, I guess not really too much else to say other than good execution and definitely some good bonus points. I'm assuming that you're going to be happy to carry those through the playoffs. And I guess I'll ask you, what do you think it's going to take for you to win this championship?
Beat the two guys in front of me.
Is it possible?
Uh, we'll see. Never say never. You got to keep up with points. Me and Gabe last year had a pretty friendly competition, so maybe we'll have again with me, Brian, and Gabe. So and the others, we could totally have bad pit stops and have a bad finish, and guys could jump us as well. So it's gonna be tough. A lot of these guys are hard to do. So to be in the top three is pretty cool. And hopefully we keep the momentum forward and see where we end up.
Awesome. Well, congratulations once again, Zach, for great execution. Definitely the kind of work that's going to take to win this championship. For that third place finish tonight, though, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Shout out my parents for always supporting and watching one of these I do. Boot Naka for letting me run with them always on Sunday. It's fun. And RBN podcast for jumping on board here. Hopefully, we'll give them a good playoff runs, give them some TV time, and you guys in the booth do a great job. Have to watch us just go around in circles a bunch of times. So to make it interesting it takes a lot of effort. So thank you for being here and helping out with this league and Area 51 admins. This league wouldn't be what it is without them, and I appreciate them letting me run in here.
Well, we definitely appreciate it, Zach. I mean, it's obviously our pleasure to do this and a lot of fun. Definitely a good looking paint scheme out there for that number 18 machine, and hope to see you back up to the front next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so we'll keep rolling on along. The next one he mentioned was the '07 machine of Brian Wang. That was his teammate. We're going to pull him up for an interview. That'll be our second place finisher on the evening. That's Brian Wang. Definitely, I mean, really, towards the beginning of the broadcast, we talked about execution, and it really seemed like you, Gabe, and Zach were one of the three that did it the best tonight. And is that what, in your eyes, really set you guys up to be at the front of the pack at the end of this race?
Definitely, yeah. We were just pushing each other just the best way we know of, the way we were intended to, where I was just fully pushing pretty much on the straights and backing up to a car length in the corners, and that's where Zach Workman kind of just pushed me back up, and so by the straights I was back on Gabe's bumper, and that's kind of just the best way of pushing while cooling your engine at the same time.
Definitely seemed like you guys had it down to a science for sure, and were able to get on and off pit road pretty easily. I know I asked Zach already, but we saw a fairly big update for these cars that came out last Tuesday. So just before this first race of the playoffs here, I wanted to give you a chance to see, how much differently the cars drove from your point of view in the cockpit there, that '07 machine.
Yeah, it's they made some minor changes to the draft package. Specifically, the as the leader, it's a bit more unstable while you're being tandem drafted. And they also updated the brakes a little bit, and the brakes were kind of all messed up by default. So we made a bunch of adjustments to the front and rear master cylinders, and we were able to get our pit stops just like before again.
Definitely makes a huge difference. And like I said, we saw you guys execute it just about the best of anybody else tonight. So made a huge difference as far as tonight, and definitely a big points night for you guys at the beginning of the playoffs. I asked Zach this too, and I'll ask you, what do you think it's going to take for you to win this championship?
I think it'll take some pretty good luck and just gotta beat my teammates to get it.
Do you think it's does that make it easier or harder when it's your teammates that you're competing for, or competing against mostly for that championship?
I think it makes it kind of harder because you're trying to race them while still not letting other people in the playoffs beat your teammates. And so yeah, you gotta really just have the perfect mix of aggression and helping your teammates.
Yeah, we actually saw a little bit of that, like at the very beginning. We saw it seemed like you guys, your team was trying to lead both lines, the inside line and the outside line at the same time. Was that part of that strategy to try and take over and control the race from both the top and the bottom lanes?
Not really. At the start, we were just trying to have some fun, trying to get to the
Okay.
front, and that's usually what I do is just try to have fun in these races.
Yeah, no, we noticed that definitely were some aggressive moves made very early on, and weren't sure if that was trying to control the race or just trying to see what you can do to actually learn the cars after the update and see what they can and cannot do. But definitely a heck of an effort for you guys tonight. Obviously, Gabe getting the win, but you and Zach also picking up podium placings and a lot of points in doing so. So I want to give you a chance to give any thanks or shoutouts for that second place finish tonight, Brian.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for broadcasting the race, all of the other drivers and admins of Area 51, everyone at Team Boot Naka, and shout out to Sebastian Marin who couldn't make it out to the race today. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again, Brian, and thank you for your kind words towards the broadcast. It's obviously our pleasure to do this, and we have a lot of fun watching you guys go round and round every single week. But wish the best of luck to you and your teammates as you continue to battle for this championship.
Thanks.
All right, that will be 2 of 3. We've got one more to bring up, and that is the number 88 machine of Gabe Butler. And we will bring him up. Winner tonight. First win of the playoffs, and pretty quiet night for the most part. I know probably going to be a fairly similar interview to what we saw for Brian and Zach, because really was just you guys with the execution tonight. But yeah, I mean, did you guys expect to have that much gap in the pack after the first couple pit cycles, especially even some of your teammates that have fallen off from you guys?
To be honest, not really, no. But you know, you you try to that's your goal is to try and do that to get people, and it just happened to work out. And it seemed every pit stop we lost different people, and then we lost some teammates on the last one, and it was just the three of us. And um, it's just a matter of getting your pits right, and we did a super good job tonight accomplishing that, and we were able to get away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talked at the top of the show that it's going to be execution and maybe a little bit of luck, but mostly execution and not making mistakes that's going to win this championship. And you guys pretty much are in peak performance mode for that. I asked the other two, Brian and Zach, what they think it's going to take, but I want to ask you too, what do you think it's going to take for you to specifically to win this championship?
Just no mistakes, and hopefully be in a position at the front to stay there. But the thing with this car, though, you're really a sitting duck. if you're leading, because they could really back up if they want to and just blow by you. But Brian gave me a great push there at the end, and I appreciate that. But yeah, again, the key is no mistakes, especially at the likes of Atlanta, pitting at Atlanta and I raced in super speedway. You mess up your pits there, you're pretty much done for the evening.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely going to be a lot of guys that that have the ability to try and execute and get this championship won. I mean, obviously you've got quite a bit of teammates, other than a lot of guys in the field that also have a chance still to win the championship, but a lot of teammates as well up there. And I asked the other two, what was do you think it's harder? Is it more difficult to try and race your teammates for a championship, or is it easier to race guys that maybe not may not be on your team?
You mean race against them?
I mean, for the championship, like competing for a championship, does it make it easier that the guys that you're competing against are the ones like from your team? You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of always hard to try and go around your teammate. I mean, because if you go around them for the win, you kind of feel guilty. But it is a championship, and I was kind of expecting the guys to at least battle for it and go around me. But I think Zach went up to the high side there, and I don't know if Brian was clear or not at one point, but he stayed behind me and got me to win. But I personally, I think it's harder racing against your teammates. Um, as far as that goes.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I think that's more or less what Brian and Zach said too, and I can definitely understand that. It's hard to wanna, to try and be super competitive. And while also remaining, teammates and trying to help each other do the best you can. But you guys definitely were the best at it tonight and had the best execution. I think that's pretty much what we're gonna have to wait and see if you guys can continue to do that the best throughout these playoffs. But definitely a hard-earned win for you here tonight at Daytona, and I want to give you a chance to give any thanks and shout-outs for that victory tonight.
Well, obviously, a team win right there. So just a big shout out to Team Bootnaka. Of course, Area 51 for experimenting with this car. I've had a blast this season with this car. I think it's great. It's a learning curve for a lot of us. Some guys have got more experience, some guys got less, but having a blast with it. And of course, yourself, Boomer, for doing a fantastic broadcast at Green White Checker TV. And a shout out to my wife, Jeannie.
All right, well, thanks, Gabe. Definitely appreciate your kind words. I told the other two that it's definitely our pleasure to do this, and we have a lot of fun watching you guys go around and around every week. So I want to say congratulations once to you again, and best of luck to you in this championship hunt.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
See you, Gabe.
All right, that will do it. We'll bring up the rest of the race results. That's race info, not race results. We'll pull up see if we can find it here. Results. Is that it? Hey, there we go. There's some race results. We got it that time. So I already talked to Gabe, Brian, and Zach. As we mentioned, we saw Todd with that exciting battle at the last lap to just edge out Bud Steele for 4th and 5th place. Ryan Decker came home 6th. Austin Call, Derek Buffo, James Moen, and Rick Sanchez top 10. Jim Brooks, Eric Laurie, and Gael Brooks in the top 13. And Joshua Hanner, Jimmy Pilan, Chris Passini, Dude Conran, and Edwin Outlaw behind them. We did also see if we can go back here. We did also have Brandon Briggs as well. Looks like Larry Fairman did not take the grid, and obviously I did not take the grid because I joined the session incorrectly. So that'll pretty much do it for the results tonight. So definitely, execution was key. Like we mentioned, didn't expect it to be that important and that much of a gap to the rest of the field. But I guess, Matt, was that something that you were going to expect to see tonight?
Yeah, I kind of expected a little bit. I'll keep saying week in, week out, every week I'm here up here in the booth with you. Pit stops, pit stops, pit stops. What won the race? There, Boomer.
I would think it would have been pit stops there, Matt.
Thank you. But I'll keep saying it again. These guys at Team Bootknocker, they have everything down to a science. Like, as soon as they come off pit road, they get lined up right away. And some of these other guys would do the same exact thing, I think we would have a race on our hands. But those guys, they're gonna have to execute if they're gonna beat them this in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've highlighted already some of the strategy from Team Bootnock and how well it works for them. I mean, there's still guys up in this field that definitely have, an opportunity. Obviously, Todd Merkel and Bud Steele and Ryan Decker are still in the thick of the championship battle, still finishing, in the top six there. A couple of them, I believe, collecting a couple laps led at different points in time. So it's definitely not over, but you're going to have to find a
Oh
way.
no.
You're definitely going to have to find a way to execute just as well as Team Bootnaka did tonight, or hope for more cautions, which really, who knows? Atlanta, we have, for the most part, gone pretty green in the Sunday series at both races, but definitely may have a few
Uh,
yellows here or there.
Atlanta's been my best track actually in the Super Speedway season, Area 51. I have two top fives and one pole, and I think it's down. I think it's more of a racer track than a drafting track as far as Atlanta. When we go there, we'll see. Probably, I'm going to make a guess. I think we're going to see an unexpected winner. I'm
Okay,
gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna,
I like it.
I'm gonna just put my stamp on it. Let's do it.
All right,
Let's
so
see a new winner.
yeah, I'd love to see it. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see what happens next week. We've definitely had a few, maybe not surprised, but definitely a few winners. We've had quite a few winners this season already. There's only a couple guys with, I think Gabe's now got 3 on the season, but definitely, quite a bit of a spread of wealth for winners, and hopefully we'll see that at Atlanta. I know we saw how much tires were important there the first time and the second time that we went there, especially the first time that we showed up to Atlanta. So definitely some interesting notes to take back to that racetrack now that you're in the playoffs. Try to learn from either those mistakes or those triumphs from the first 2 races here in Area 51 at those tracks, and try to see what you can do to execute. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I still cannot wait to see how the season's going to finish here at iRacing Super Speedway in just 3 weeks' time.
Oh, hopefully, I only made it like half a lap last time, so on Thursday that was not enjoyable for me. But some of these other guys will hopefully they'll execute on track and hopefully score their first super speedway win.
Should be a blast regardless, no matter what happens. But we will be here, and it will all be here. That action on on Greenwood Checker TV here. Again, that coverage of the Area 51 Sunday Night Super Speedway Series, Atlanta Motor Speedway, Talladega Super Speedway, and iRacing Super Speedway to finish out the season. So lots of action with 3 weeks to go. Only one race down in the playoffs, and we're going to have to see how these drivers can execute and try to pick up a win and try to pick up a championship next week. But regardless, it should be a lot of fun. Don't forget, we've got playoff action for you on Thursday nights as well in that series with the trucks, the truck series vehicles from NASCAR are going to be on Thursday nights. Definitely going to be a lot of fun and a lot of action there to watch as well. So make sure you tune in here this week, and that schedule will pretty much follow the same as the Sunday night schedule. So yeah, we've got 3 more weeks of really good racing and a couple champions to crown. Make sure to keep in touch with all the action here. And yeah, for now, I think that'll pretty much do it. Thank you all for tuning in, and hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.